Good morning. So, busy day today, lots of meetings, lots of exciting stuff for 2022 with Fruci Fit Education as well. So, wanted to just jump on and talk about lessons from Costa Coffee. So, if you didn't know, we had to move from our studio in Marlborough to slightly outside, about 5 minutes. And when we moved, I noticed a real change in my habits. So you've gone from being in the centre to being surrounded with coffee shops, and I got into the routine of just nipping out for a coffee. I could do some milk, do this, less planned, because the stuff was just on my doorstep. A bit like a buffet, isn't it? More on that in a second. And today I've noticed, and yesterday I was in Devizes, we had sessions in Devizes, and in the morning, opposite was Costa Coffee. So what do I get? A Costa Coffee, because it's there, because it's on my doorstep, and it's fancy Costa. And this morning as well, meetings this morning, and I find myself getting a Costa Coffee. And my point is, when we're in our studio in Marlborough, there's no coffee shop around. Maybe one for 2022. But I noticed that I never obviously have coffee. I don't have an option to go and get coffee. I don't have the option to go and get anything. And it's just that little thing there that reminds me of just how important your environment is when making choices, when making decisions around our food, because life is just a buffet, isn't it, really, when you think about decisions, choices we have. And if you think of willpower, a bit like a phone battery, drains throughout the day. And the more applications we have open, the more things we have open, the more it's going to drain quicker, the more choices we have to make, decisions we have to make. And when you think about family, work life, everything, all the decisions that you have to make on top of it, it's just draining it. Then you throw on top of that food just out there on the side. We know that even people who have cereal out on the side are on average 10 pounds heavier than people who have fruit bowls out on the side. Just on average. I mean, that's an average figure, but it's fascinating how that can have such an impact. And is that because it's the yeses and no, the decisions you have to make? You just drain a little bit. Every choice you have to make. Oh, should I have that? Should I pick one? And we know that tin-foiling your leftovers compared to cling film is just one extra decision from the packaging of food that makes us want more. Now, my point in this is we can talk about the food industry. There's lots of issues with it, of course. How accessible food is great for today. But at the same time, we've also got to consider, is our environment aligning with where we want to be? In terms of in our house, in our kitchen, are we leaving food out the side that's easily accessible? And I speak about this from our kids' point of view as well, that if I leave chocolate out on the side, I know, because they don't care, they just say it how it is. They won't go, oh, I've had a chocolate bar already, so then I'll have another one. There's 2 chocolate bars there, why not? So if it's there, I'll have it then. They won't lead up to that social desire of fantasy having 2 chocolate bars. Which is fine. But my point in this is, if I leave chocolate bars on the side, I know I'm going to have a conversation with the kids at some point, or they're going to have 2 chocolate bars, and we haven't even had breakfast yet. And that's just the way it is, because the food's there. They're just human beings. That's how we work. And if you just take that as an example, but yet we do it ourselves, right? We might leave food out on the side, and that's a decision. That's a choice we now have to make. Whereas if we can make at least our home the best possible, right, so we have fewer decisions to make. And I was speaking to someone about this yesterday. We were talking about ready meals. They were like, we have kids, it's like quite busy sometimes, and it can all add up. And I said, okay, what about if we just have a few ready meals handy for those evenings that aren't perfect? Because what's the alternative? Yeah, ready meals aren't great. That's what some people say. But actually, what's the alternative? The alternatives can be a takeaway, right? What's better? We've got to think, what's the alternative choice here? And when you think about it, and I said, I used to do videos on and blogs about nutrition and all that stuff. I used to, still do. I talked about ready meals, and it's amazing that you go back 10 years and read a blog for me about ready meals, see if I can find one. And I remember writing, full of processed salt, sugar, all this stuff. And now I'm looking at ready meals and I go, blimey, how do they make them so low calorie? How do they make them so convenient? How do they make them so tasty? I actually had a bean curry one that Mrs. Fruci bought the other day, which was really good, like really good. And I was like, how is this 200 calories? And yeah, like as a tool in the toolbox. And if you think about how good this potentially is to get beans into someone's diet, legumes, fibre, gut health, all these benefits in there. Someone who just sticks to their own way of cooking might not ever go down this route. I'm not saying it's perfect, of course, but then what if this leads you to experimenting with new recipes yourself in terms of home cooking? And it's about making it convenient and easy, because convenient and easy gets done, and then we'll get results. And you might think, yeah, but ready meals is not as good as fresh home cooked food, but for what? If we're talking about inflammation, well, what if this is a calorie controlled way, without counting calories really, of eating less and being more in control of foods? What about if that leads to fat loss? We know the fat loss reduces inflammation regardless of what you eat. I'm not saying eat junk food and lose weight, but we've got to consider sometimes we go down just the forest from the trees, forest from the trees, in terms of going down this route of single foods. And nutrition is a very complicated area because we often try and isolate food, saying eat these blueberries and they'll cause this, but actually foods work very synergistically in terms of absorption of nutrients, deficiencies, nothing happen, malabsorption. Anyway, I'm going off a tangent. My point today is make sure your environment is congruent with the goals that you want to achieve. You'll have a better time, wherever that is ready. It's not about being perfect, it's about thinking about what the alternative is. Anyway, I hope that helps. Any questions, let me know. I'll see you soon.